Hi, I'm Bronte. I'm 24 years old from Canberra and I had COVID-19. Yeah, so I was living in the United States and about a week into March, I woke up with a really sore throat and feeling really tired. And a few days later that developed into bad chest pain and breathlessness. I went to an urgent care doctor in LA to do my due diligence because there had been talk about coronavirus going around, but because I hadn't travelled, they just tested me for strep throat and for pneumonia and nothing came back. So I was prescribed rest. I spent about a week working from home because I wasn't feeling well, and then ended up flying back to Australia to get a new visa. And on the day after I landed, I knew I still wasn't well, and so I went to a COVID test clinic and I tested positive that day. From the time that I landed back into Australia to the time that I tested positive, I had 4 close contacts, all family members. Unfortunately, one of them did test positive. They picked me up from the airport, and we think that being in the close proximity of the car was where they picked up the virus. The other 3 didn't get it, and I will say, even in my own home, we socially distanced. Even if we were in the same room, we were on opposite ends of the room. And we really think that that is evidence that social distancing works, and that there's a reason that these precautions are in place for us, because we are the proof. The 3 of them didn't get it, even though they had 2 of us in the same house that ended up testing positive. So I had sore throat, I had fatigue, I had breathlessness, I had really bad chest pain, which was the big indicator that something was wrong. I didn't have a wet cough at any point, but I just could barely breathe. Like, everything hurt all across my chest. And then that just was ongoing for almost 3 weeks. Yeah, and then when I got out of when I was out of quarantine and when I'd been cleared for being virus-free, it just kind of never went away, all the symptoms. So I've definitely battled with things like fatigue, joint pain and muscle pain. I haven't really been able to exercise properly since I get it. If I try and do one intensive workout, I end up crashing for the next week, and it's just a really slow recovery process. Same for my family member who tested positive as well. We've both just been operating at about 40% capacity to what we normally would have pre-coronavirus. It's almost offensive, to be honest, when I hear people complaining about the rules or thinking they're above them and not wanting to comply. Because if I had that chance, I would have done what I could to avoid getting it. And for people who are, voluntarily avoiding complying with the rules, they have a choice. They're choosing to put themselves in a situation where they could get it. I didn't have that luxury, and then I've ended up with a lot of health complications over the last 9 months. But you don't want to get it. You don't want to go down that path. It's just, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.